Hi, this is Patricia Stepler with Your Inside Power, and where we want to show you all the things, all the powers you have inside of you to absolutely change your life around. So today our topic is how does money come to you? How does wealth come to you? How do you find the things that you really want to have in life and bring them into your life? So even though I'm going to be talking mostly about money or wealth, you use it for whatever it is that you want to come into your life, whether it's better health, whether it's better relationships, because I have seen this happen in any area that somebody wants: spiritual life, relationships, wealth, money, whatever it is. So what I want you to realize today is that when I said in a previous time that we have to realize that there is something outside of us, something beyond who we are, a higher power, infinite intelligence, source energy. Maybe you want to consider it as, maybe you think of it as God. If you're a religious person, that's who you would think to, Allah. But there's a secret in sharing gifts you have, and even in sharing the material that I'm sharing with you that will help you to increase and to bring more into your life. So that's gratitude, which we'll talk about next time. But it's a matter of, what can you do? What is the secret? What is something that you can give away and then bring something else into your life? Sometimes I think about, people and closets. Have you ever gone to your closet, can't find anything to wear, and yet it's packed full of clothes, and you think, I don't need anything, but yet you can't find what you want? The best thing for you to do is to give some of your clothes away, because then you allow room for the good that you desire. As long as you keep everything tight inside or keep your closet packed, there's no room for anything. And so you're blocking the very things that you would like to have. So what can you give away in order to bring more into your life? So as you begin to share your gifts, maybe the gifts about this information, you will be changing the vibrational level or the frequency level that you're on. And as you do that, you're going to shift into a higher energy where you're going to be more excited. You're going to have things come to you that you really want. So riches will come to you because you are moving on a different frequency. You are shifting to a higher level. And often we do this by giving to others because we become more radiant ourselves. And we enjoy that sharing. Now, in the book, Science of Getting Rich, is what we've been talking about. Wallace D says that you can give to every person more than you take from them. Now, if you are in business, you think, well, I can't give them more than what I take from them monetarily because I won't make any money. It's not just in the money, it's giving them value. And he goes on to give some stories that, you have to give the right value to the right people. So what you have to do is to give people more in use value than you take from them in cash value. Then you're adding to the life of the world and in every business transaction, because you're giving more of yourself. You're giving more of the qualities that will help you to move to that higher level. So he says, even though you can cause your riches to come out of the formless substance, which penetrates all of our environment, it does not follow that your fortune will immediately take shape from the atmosphere and come into being before your eyes. So last time I talked about understanding the thesis that Wallace D. has, in that there's this substance and it penetrates everything, and it's around equally, in all areas at all times. And when you put a thought into that substance, then it will try to create in reality what it is that you want. So you have to believe that that's happening. But what he's saying here is it's not going to happen immediately. And in fact, if you give value to somebody else, you give more value to them than what you're taking from them, it's very likely that not that person will give back to you what you're looking for your dream. It may come from somebody else who you don't even know. And so we have to be patient. Well, this is why so many people stop believing in this information, because they think that the reason they do not have is because they're doing something wrong, which you have to realize is that you don't know the time period it's going to take in order for you to accomplish that big goal that you want. And so therefore, you must be willing to stay and persist until it happens. Just like a mighty oak tree doesn't just appear, there is a gestation period for that acorn to turn into the mighty oak tree. There is a gestation period for every one of our dreams and goals. And sometimes we think we know it all and that we can figure it all out ourselves. But here's the thing, we do not. We do not know it all. And so we need to make sure that we understand that there is this gestation period. And we have to just keep persisting because we do not know when our goal will appear. But if we keep this in a formless substance and we keep thinking about it and we're grateful and we're doing this, we're giving people more value than they're giving us in cash, it will happen. And you just have to be patient and realize that and not try to rush what's happening. So we need to hold that image in our mind, in our subconscious, our conscious, embed it into our subconscious. And the more you can think about that image, the more you can pretend that you're already living that way, that you already have the good that you desire. And that just becomes your way of life. In fact, you may see whatever it is that you want. Maybe it's a car, maybe it's a new house. You see it and you're talking about it like it's already there. So the more you can do that, the quicker it will come to you. And of course, you always start believing more in yourself then. So never think of it or speak of it without feeling confident that it will arrive. Claim it as already yours. Now, that's an important point. He says, never think of it or speak it without feeling confident that it will arrive. So if you have any worry or doubt that it's going to happen, you will not get it. Chances are high that you will not receive the good that you desire. However, if you keep speaking confidently about it and you believe it and you claim it as already yours, then it's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's a matter of when. So the thinking substance, this beautiful thinking substance out there, is in everything, communicating with everything, and able to influence everything. It will do so whenever people set it in motion by desire and faith and by acting in a certain way. Okay, so that's a pretty big statement that Wallace D. Wallace is making there. Remember, that thinking stuff is everywhere, equally at all times, and it's communicating. If you know my story and you have gone through that video, you know that my son got a full college scholarship, not the way he planned, not the way he thought was the way to get it. But you see, the universe was communicating and the plan he had was not going to work. So there had to be a better plan. And he didn't know that there was a better plan out there. And so therefore he had to accept, and that was not easy, but he had to accept the fact that there was a better plan. So that is communicating at all times. And it will do so, it says here, it will do so whenever people set in motion by desire. So you have a burning desire, something you have to have, something you will not give up on, something that you will persist in. And you believe it by faith, by acting in a certain way. So we have to think in a certain way. That's what we talked about last week. And we have to act in a certain way. That's doing these things. That's ask, believe, receive. So we've ask for it, we believe it's going to happen, and we believe we're going to receive it. And then we have to act on it. We have to do things. And as we're acting, believe that we've already accomplished the goal. So Wallace D. Wallace says, your faith becomes invincible. Your faith becomes invincible. If you fix upon your consciousness the fact that the desire you feel for the possession of riches is one with the desire of the supreme power for more complete expression. All right, so let's break that down a little. So your faith becomes invincible. You believe it's going to happen. There's no doubt in your mind that it's going to happen. And you fix that idea in your consciousness. And you desire it so much, and you have that possession that you've got to have this. And when you do that, you see that substance wants it for you too. So as you start to move towards your goal, you start to do things in a certain way, that goal starts to move towards you. So all that is possible is seeking expression through human beings. You see, we're the only animal in the animal kingdom that can cause these things to exist by thinking them. Now let's go back to thinking about an inventor, because I think it's really easy when you start to think about an inventor. So an inventor is trying to solve a problem. He has this burning desire. Let's use Edison. He had a burning desire to get people away from using candle lights and to be able to use electricity to light a light bulb, because he knew it would be so much brighter for people. And so he had this desire, but it took him 10,000 experiments to figure out how to do that. He found 9,999 ways it would not work, but he only needed one way that it would work. So he had this burning desire, and he was seeking more. Okay, so he believed it was going to happen. You see, there was never any doubt. He never doubted that there's 9,999 failures. They were not failures. They were ways they would not work, because he knew it's just a matter of getting the right combination of materials. And the supreme power was trying to give that to him. So as he kept working towards it, it's kept moving towards him. And how to keep moving towards him? Well, he got ideas. You know, when one thing did not work, it would spur another idea of something to try. You see, all that is possible is seeking expression through human beings. He wanted to provide people with electric light bulbs. And that was his expression. So it was possible. So you need not hesitate to ask largely, Wattles says. Your part is to focus and express the desire to God. So don't ask for little when you can have a lot more. And I believe we talked about that in a previous lesson. So don't hesitate. Ask largely. Don't ask for little if you need a lot. And sometimes that becomes difficult because we think we're greedy. We think we should be grateful for what we have, which we should, but it doesn't mean we can't have more. And so we sometimes think, well, when it doesn't come right away, because we live in this instantaneous society where we believe everything should be there right away. So when it doesn't come right away, we become frustrated and we start to lack belief. Well, when all that happens, you're driving away the good that you desire. So Wattles says people retain something of the old idea that poverty and self-sacrifice are pleasing to God. Man, I'm sure I'm guilty of that. How about you? I think sometimes as a woman, maybe even more so when you're a mother, that we believe that we should sacrifice for others. I did this all the time. I sacrificed for my husband. I didn't go after some of my own goals because he didn't want me to, not that I didn't. And instead of thinking for myself and realizing it was my life, I sacrificed that for him. And then there were other times when I sacrificed for my kids. I was quite honestly proud to be Rachel's mom, Renee's mom, and Danny's mom, and let their notoriety of their achievements get out there. And I was quite happy to sacrifice things I wanted to do so that I could encourage them to do the things that they wanted to do when they were growing up. I felt that I only had one chance to raise a good family and to raise kids that would be productive in society. And by darn, I did that. But as I did that, I sacrificed some of the very things I wanted to do and would have loved to have accomplished. So here's what he's saying. People retain something of an old idea that poverty and self-sacrifice are pleasing to God. So here I am, not pleasing at all to God, because that's not what he's asking me to do. Wattles says they look upon poverty as a part of the plan, as necessary of nature. They have the idea that God has finished his work and has made all that he can make, that the majority of humanity must stay poor because there is not enough to go around. Can you imagine it? Now you look around at nature. Nature is all about abundance and giving, and what can we have and what can we increase. And here we are as humans thinking we know more than God or infinite power, source energy, again, whatever you want to call it. And so we have this belief that the majority of humanity must remain poor because there's not enough to go around. And we start to think that certain people have been selected from on high to be those ones that have a lot. And then what do? We get upset, we get jealous, we get angry that they have so much and we have so little. And yet whose fault is it? It's our fault. So here he says, they have that idea that God has finished his work and has made all that he can. Well, that's not true either. There's all kinds of things that can be made yet. He can make that the majority of humanity must remain poor because there's not enough to go around. And people hold to this erroneous thought so much that they feel ashamed to ask for wealth. We hold on to this erroneous thought so much that we feel ashamed to ask for wealth. You know, I love watching historical dramas. You know, there's ones that have some history to them, and yet there's a lot of dramatic ease that's taken in those shows. But there was one I was watching not too long ago, and it was talking about the Catholic Church and the wealth that the Catholic Church had. And then there was this other priest, and he was from a different sect, and he was teaching poverty. And he convinced all these people to get rid of their beautiful belongings, to get rid of the beautiful paintings. I mean, even we're talking about Da Vinci paintings being burned, getting rid of their houses and giving everything away, selling it, giving the money to the poor, basically. And then they could, I guess, survive. That would please God. But where is it in the Bible or any place else that makes us believe that God is pleased if we live in poverty? See, if we're living in poverty, we can't help others. And if we can't help others, are we doing God's work? If you have wealth and you have a lot of money, then you can share it and you can help others and you can increase value in their lives because you can help them to do the same thing. Why can't we do that? Why can't we decide to help people and to help them grow and develop and to earn more money and to become better than they think they can? So let's start looking at our mind and the magic that we have there. You see, if we follow this process of thinking and getting ideas and then moving to what you really want, what marvelous things could happen in your life. So when we look at, what lies before us, the things that we want, and what lies behind us, the things that are past, we can't change, are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. You see, you have magic in your mind. You have magical powers that you don't even realize. When you can get really good at this, you can just make things happen all the time. So we can use that imagination. You see, our imagination will actually give us the future that we want. And I know there are times that you use this, but you didn't know what you were doing. And so therefore it's difficult to repeat. But we use that imagination, we create with the good that we want. Napoleon Hill said, our only limitation within reason lies in the development and use of our imagination. Isn't that beautiful? Our only limitation within reason. So I heard another coach talk one time about, do you believe you can have anything that you want? Well, I do believe you can have anything you want. And she says, no, you can't. She says, look at me. Do you think I could play baseball? Well, she couldn't. But she probably never wanted to. Because if she had wanted to, she'd have figured out a way. So Hill says our only limitation within reason lies in the development and use of our imagination. So the imagination is just a beautiful tool that we have, and yet we underutilize it every single day. And then we have intuition. They say when you pray to God, it's your intuition that is God talking to you. So when we pay attention to things, you normally would dismiss that spirit nudging you. So when you get that little idea that you should do something different, do it, because that's God nudging you. And he's seeing if you're going to listen to him, especially if it's something you've asked for. Maybe you've asked for having more finances and more money, and maybe you have been drawn to this particular session because of that. And maybe when I say to you, go to my website and look at upcoming events because you need to get more of this information, maybe that's just spirit nudging you to be here, to hear this talk, and you need to listen. But intuition is the most important communication that we have with the source energy. Listening to the messages it's giving us. So pay attention to those inspired hunches and then act on them. You see, when we need to act in a certain way, it's listening first to the inspired ideas that you're getting. But the universe likes speed. So when you get an inspired idea, act on it immediately, or at least as quickly as you possibly can, and allow that to come into your mind and into your life. So then we also have the will. So the will is when you can hold the picture of that imagined state that you want to move into without the distractions of what else is going on around you, without the distractions of seeing the reality. So we hold on to the vision of wealth, even though our bank account's empty. We see ourselves as a wealthy person. Not an easy thing to do. I'm not going to tell you any of this stuff is easy. It's easy to understand. It's not necessarily easy to do. So it enables you to take magnificent thoughts, the will does, take magnificent thoughts, formulate an imagination, and then use your intuition to keep firing at it and then hold it with your will. So you have to become very disciplined. That's a word a lot of people don't like, but we need to become disciplined and concentrate on thoughts. Another one of our intellectual faculties that we have is memory. So with memory, every time you become more aware of your own perfection, it will manifest in your results. Isn't it beautiful? Every time you become more aware of your perfection, it will manifest in your results. Remember the good that you do. Forget the crap that happens in your life. That happens to everybody. Look at the good. And then use your imagination to paint that picture to what you want in your future. And describe your life using your future imagination. Isn't that a beautiful thought? Use your future imagination to describe. And then let's look at reason. Reason is the ability to think properly. Oh, how I wish people would use this one a lot more. It's the ability to think properly. The difference in thinking and mental activity is reason. Did you hear that? The difference between thinking and mental activity. You see, people think they think, but they really don't think. It's just mental activity. To think is to go very deep in thought. That's what we're talking about with reasoning and with thinking, not just surface ideas. So real thinking feels as if the brain is stretching to give you more, to help you understand it, to develop more. And we have to use reasoning to cut through the noise, okay? And we have to also refer to that intuitive mind. And then we have perception. Perception makes a shift step into a different world. So we think from different people's point of views. How would so-and-so do it? How would so-and-so do it? Think about people alive or dead. Napoleon Hill did this all the time. He would counsel. He would pretend in his imagination, he was sitting around a table and he was talking to different people, getting their ideas. And those people could be alive or dead. It didn't matter to him. He was trying to think about how they would perceive a situation. What did this do for Napoleon Hill? What gave him more ideas? Gave him better understanding. And then we train and calm our mind. So we want to have a calm mind, and we do that through perception. And we develop understanding for others. You see, when you change your perception, you create different movies for yourself. And you have, this is key to have better relationships, is to understand the different perceptions. So when you have these 6 mental faculties, what I want you to do is to write down one goal or one challenge that you're having. And then think about it as many times during the day as you can, so it gets embedded in the subconscious, because it's your subconscious that will come up with ideas. Why the subconscious? Because it's connected to all the universal minds. So you write down every association you connect with as you're thinking about this one thing. So every time you get an idea, write it down, write it down, write it down. And by thoughts, the things you want will be brought to you, but by action, you will receive it. So the thought gets it out there. It's out there in the universe waiting for you, but you have to act. You cannot just think, you must act. And you can't solve a problem with the same thinking that you use to create it. This is what I want you to do. I generally have some type of masterclass or event going on, and I keep them updated on my website. So I want you to go to my website, Your Dream Power. My website is called Your Dream Power, and see what events I have coming up. Some of them are free, some of them have a very low cost, and go to them and bring that into your life so that you can start to have exactly what you want. This is Patricia Stepler with Your Inside Power. I want you to be the magic in your dreams.